Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nate. I'm going to do another honest gun review for you. Today we are going to be looking at the DLX Luxe OLED. Also, this review counts for like the Luxe 2.0 as well. So we're going to jump right into it. First category, if you haven't watched these before, I have 10 categories. Each one you can score up to 10 points, and at the end you get a rating out of 100. To kind of let you know how I think the marker stacks up against other markers. I'm going to do a quick disclaimer here. So some of the markers that I'm going to be doing are going to be used or older markers, but I'm going to review them as they stack up in 2018 or the current time. So it's 2018 right now. This marker came out a few years ago, but I'm going to compare it or rate it as it is in 2018, in my opinion. So mine's actually a Luxe 1.0 that was converted into a Luxe OLED. So your packaging and stuff may differ, but packaging is the first category. I'm giving it 8 out of 10. Comes in this pretty cool little, not little, it's pretty big actually. It's like an aluminum suitcase. It's kind of like a poker chip case, but a little bit bigger. You know, it's got these little flip levers on it. I use mine. I actually take it to the field separately and keep a lot of my tools and grease and O-rings and stuff inside of it. And then when you get it, if you get a Luxe, an older Luxe in one of those cases, it comes in this padded little deal here inside that case, and you can see you've got the marker, your freak barrel, your charger, whatever else comes in there. So get that out of the way. Packaging's an 8 out of 10. A lot of the newer markers come with a little bit smaller, more compact case that still holds everything that you need it to. So the packaging could be better, but I still utilize that for other things, so I still like it. And it's pretty neat. That aluminum case is pretty neat. So 8 out of 10 on the packaging. So aesthetics, looks. As you can see, very sleek marker, even for today's standards. Very nice looking marker. So I gave the looks a 9 out of 10. It is a little bit bulkier and you know, not quite as milled down and stuff as some of the newer stuff that's really, you know, slick looking now. But it is still pretty slick, pretty nice looking marker. The anodizing is always really good on these. You know, they have splash colors and all that kind of stuff too, if that's what you're into. But yeah, the looks, you know, it's got these little jewels and stuff. It's a very nice looking marker for sure. Definitely one of my favorites out there. So 9 out of 10 on the looks. Shot quality, okay. I'm giving this a 10. I gave the Luxe Ice a 10 as well. I actually prefer the way this shoots over the Luxe Ice. Not to say that that's a bad shooter, but with this, you get a little bit more tunability. You can actually dial it in with you can put the feather touch screw in, dial your manifold screw in, and just get it shooting super, super, super quiet. When you shoot it, there's no vibrations or kicks or any loud pinging or any kind of weird noises. It's just super, super smooth, super quiet marker to shoot. So shot quality is definitely a 10 out of 10 for me on this. Let's go ergonomics. Okay. Luxe was one of the first companies to come back to the stretched out feel. I think Luxe came out in like 2009 or something. So this marker, everything except for the grip frame and the board, is from 2009. So if that tells you anything, it's in very good shape and everything. I got it used. I kind of put this one together myself. But yeah, ergonomics, you know, it's got that nice stretched out feel that pretty much everybody's going for these days. It's not super, super long and annoying, but it gives you room where you can put your thumb around the back, over the barrel. I kind of hold it like that. Trigger's really nice on these. There's no sharp edges. Everything's nice and blended together, kind of. The milling kind of works together, and there's nothing that's going to cut you or stab you. All the screws are recessed. So ergonomics, I'm giving it a 9. The only thing that could be better, especially today, you know, in 2018, is, in my opinion, this ASA Could be the flat, you know, more flat in the front. Instead of having the knob, have either the pops or the little lever that flips open. So that way, I like to hold the markers like this, and that little knob is actually kind of in the way. It's not really a big deal. I mean, I still hold it like that. I never have a problem playing like that, but just to see that, maybe a different ASA actually come out for these would be a huge improvement for me. So ergonomics, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Reliability, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. You have to hear me out here. Put the factory DLX Luxe O-rings in these. Order a DLX O-ring kit right from DLX, or you can get them on ANS Gear. Just make sure that it's the actual DLX name brand O-ring kit, and rebuild the entire bolt assembly if you have problems with it, or if you get one that doesn't have the factory style O-rings in it. Just go ahead and do that. Clean it up really nice, do all your maintenance, and then it will last you a really long time. Just by lubing the bolt and keeping it wiped down and clean. I had less problems with this after I put it together and did all the tune-up and cleaning and all that stuff. I've had less problems with this than I did with that Luxe Ice. So, your results may differ. In cold weather, it might not shoot as great sometimes. Sometimes you have to adjust some settings or take out the feather touch in the cold weather, especially when it gets, 40 degrees or lower, real cold. So I gave it an 8 out of 10 for reliability, for the reason of, sometimes in the colder weather, this isn't the best option. So reliability, 8 out of 10. Air efficiency, okay. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I don't personally have a problem with the air efficiency. I carry about 6 pods in a loader. And I never really have any issues of running out of air, as long as I'm getting a 4,000 fill or something similar, 3,800, 4,000 fill. I never have issues with running out of air during a point. But it's something that this is, you're going to want to fill up every point. This isn't a marker you can load up a whole case of paint on your back and run out into the woods and shoot the whole case of paint off of a 6845 tank. That's not going to happen. I've never had an issue with the air efficiency not being enough for me, but it's definitely probably the worst in terms of air efficiency that there is out there in the high-end market. So air efficiency gets a 6. Build quality, it's built really well. Everything's pretty solid. There's no little tiny screws. No real cheap plastic or thin rubber that's going to rip apart and stuff. The anodizing is really great. Everything's pretty solid. No weird tiny sized O-rings or anything like that. Everything's pretty standard sized O-rings. If you need to replace an O-ring, it's not like a weird metric little dinky thing. So build quality gets a 9 out of 10. It's a pretty solid marker. Serviceability, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. So pretty easy to service. The bolt, you just lift up the latch and pull it out. You can unscrew all this, wipe it down, put some fresh lube on it, slide it back in, lift up. It's good to go. The regulator is the main downfall in these. Servicing the eye covers, if you need to clean out your eye area, it's just magnetic and completely toolless. On the OLEDs and the 2.0s have a little latch on them. This is actually a 1.0 style eye cover, so it's just strictly magnetic. There's 2 little magnets on it. So slide that in, pop back on, ready to rock. Real easy, real fast. The worst thing though is the regulator. You've got 2 little tiny set screws. When you put it together, everything's got to line up just right. There's a few extra O-rings that I don't think need to be there. This bottom nut here, I've seen people put their Allen key in too far and strip out the threads because it actually unscrews the regulator and the cover here. I do a lot of buying and trading and stuff, and every Luxe 1.0 to OLED I receive that's used has issues with the regulator stuff being stripped out, or the little set screws missing, or whatever. And so the regulator could have been designed a little bit better, and that's why the serviceability is only getting an 8. Upgradability, tons of trigger options, tons of different bolts and cans and bolt guides and all kinds of different stuff to make this shoot however you want. Little rubber foregrips that you can buy that literally bolt in place of this metal one, so it's still got the contour like this, but it's rubber. Tons of different barrel options. It is Luxe threaded, so not as good as an autococker threaded barrel, but it does come stock with a Freak barrel, and the new Freak XL kit came out, and that's what I've been shooting on this, and it's great. Tons of triggers, different boards you can put. If you buy like a Luxe 1.0, you can actually buy a Luxe OLED frame and put on it. That's what I kind of did with this deal here. I put it together myself. Grips, you can buy different grips, different colors, a little bit slimmer grip, the new style grip. And then the biggest thing for upgradability for me is the fact that DLX still supports and works on these markers, as well as they actually are releasing a new bolt assembly for these next year, at the beginning of the year. And it's similar to the Luxe Ice Bolt, so they're still making upgrades for these. The actual company, actual DLX, is still making upgrades for their 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old markers. So that's a big deal to me. As far as upgradability, that's why I gave it a 10. Programming, it's the same as the Luxe Ice. This is an OLED. Doesn't have the adjustable ramping. Has the talking board. Has a nice OLED screen, as well as the lady talks to you. Pretty easy to program. Doesn't have the adjustable ramping, but everything else, dwell, first shot drop off, timer, all kinds of stuff. It's got that just fine. So, it's, the programming is as good as anything out there currently. But I do think that they could do a little bit better as far as making adjustable ramping modes where you can set the balls per second to enter ramping and sustain. So programming, I get it 8 out of 10 because I'd like to see just a few more little things to mess with in the electronics in these. So overall, you're at 85 out of 100. The Luxe Ice scored 89 out of 100. These are very competitive with everything that's out there still. You'll see that it actually scored better in some of the categories than the Luxe Ice, which is newer. In my opinion anyway. I almost actually prefer this. I've sold the Luxe Ice already. I don't plan on selling this unless I can get, top dollar for it or a super good trade or something. But it's just in super good shape and everything, and I think I'm probably going to hold on to this for a while. I've got one more thing. So 85 out of 100 for the review. That way you can compare it to everything else. I've got one more thing I'm adding in. Value. So a Luxe 2.0 you can get for like, I don't know, $300-ish, $350. That's the same. This exact marker, just without the OLED screen. It's got a LED board, but still talks to you and everything. Still pretty easy to adjust. And then this a Luxe OLED you can get for about $400, and so that's a pretty good deal. $400, $450 for a Luxe OLED. If you look for good deals, and that's a super good value considering how this marker can still compete with anything that's out there. That people are shooting today, the brand new markers that are coming out. So if you're a baller on a budget, I give it an 8 out of 10 for value. There's a couple things I think that are a little bit better in value, but this is still super, super good value for the money. You won't be disappointed if you end up with one of these. So here's a quick shooting video, and then thanks for watching.